I used to believe in the strength of our marriage. 12 years together, 8 of them married. That's a lot of history, a lot of shared dreams, a lot of whispered promises in the dark. I wasn't perfect, I knew that, but I was steady, reliable. The kind of man who kept his word, who worked hard, who didn't believe in taking shortcuts in life or love. I thought that counted for something, but lately, something had shifted. I first noticed it in the little things, the way she barely looked at me when she came home from work, eyes fixed on her phone like it was more important than the man sitting right next to her. The way she sighed when I asked about her day, like answering me was an obligation instead of something she wanted to do. The way she started going out more, always with friends, always just a quick dinner, always nothing to worry about. I wanted to believe it. God help me. I wanted to believe her. Because the alternative was too painful to consider. I had just gotten home from work when I heard her laughing from the kitchen. That high, carefree laugh, the one she used to save for me, except this time, it wasn't for me. Her voice was light, playful. I stopped in the hallway, just out of sight, my heartbeat hammering against my ribs. I know, she was saying. But come on, you know how it is. Sometimes you settle for what's safe, what's stable. Not every woman gets to have the fairy tale, right? A pause, a soft chuckle. He's a good guy, but let's be real, I could replace him tomorrow if I wanted to. The blood in my veins turned to ice. I felt it, physically, that cold, numbing sensation, creeping into my fingertips, pressing against my chest, threatening to choke me. I leaned against the wall, gripping the molding just to steady myself. She was still talking, oblivious to the fact that her husband was standing only a few feet away, listening as she shrugged off our entire marriage like it was a secondhand coat she couldn't wait to toss out. I barely remember the rest of the conversation. Something about how she deserved more, how she wasn't in love anymore, how she had options. Options. I had never felt smaller in my life. When she finally hung up, I forced myself to move, forced my legs to carry me into the kitchen like I hadn't just overheard her destroying everything I believed we had. She glanced up, startled for a half-second before flashing me that practiced smile. "Oh, hey, babe," she said casually, tucking her phone into her back pocket. "How was work?" Normal. She was acting completely normal, like she hadn't just gutted me. I swallowed the bitterness rising in my throat and forced my expression to stay neutral. Not yet. I told myself, don't react. Don't let her know. Same old, I said, pretending to yawn. You? She rolled her eyes and gave a little sigh, as if indulging me in conversation was a chore. Ugh, long day. You know how it is. Yeah, I knew exactly how it was. I studied her, really studied her, for the first time in weeks. The way she was dressed, just a little too put together for someone who supposedly just came home from work. The subtle shimmer of new makeup. The way she smelled like perfume she didn't wear around me. I had been blind before. Not anymore. That night, lying beside her in bed, I stared at the ceiling while she scrolled through her phone. I could feel the distance between us like a physical thing. I used to think it was just life wearing us down, that all couples went through phases like this. That if I just loved her hard enough, if I just tried a little more, she'd come back to me, but she had already made up her mind. She thought I was replaceable. She had no idea that I was already planning my way out. The next morning, she kissed my cheek absently before heading off to work, barely looking up from her phone. As soon as she was gone, I sat down at the kitchen table and took a deep breath. Then I reached for my own phone and dialed a number. "Hey," I said, my voice steady, despite the storm raging inside me. "I need to talk to a lawyer." I wasn't going to beg. I was going to walk away on my own terms. And she would never see it coming. I had always trusted her. Never once, in all the years we'd been together, had I felt the need to check her phone, ask too many questions, or doubt her words. But that was before I overheard her talking about me like I was a placeholder, a backup plan, a man she could replace whenever she felt like it. Before I felt the weight of every single lie she had told me, uncovering the full truth. I wasn't reckless. I didn't storm in demanding answers or accuse her outright. I knew that if I wanted to make a clean exit, I had to be careful, so I waited. She was always careless with her phone. She never thought I had a reason to check it, and I never had until now. I watched her type in her passcode one night while she scrolled through messages on the couch. 4 numbers, simple. She had used the same one for years. That night, when she fell asleep, I carefully reached for her phone on the nightstand. My heart was hammering in my chest, but my hands were steady. I typed in the passcode. It unlocked instantly, and just like that, I stepped into the world she had been hiding from me. Her messages told me everything I needed to know. A long, drawn-out thread with a contact saved as J. J. Can't stop thinking about the other night. That dress was for me, wasn't it? Her. Maybe. I figured you'd like unwrapping your gift. My jaw clenched. I forced myself to keep reading. When are you gonna leave him? I told you. It's complicated. It's not. You don't love him, remember? It's not that simple. I need to do this right. I don't want to ruin everything just because I was impatient. I let out a slow breath. So she was waiting. Waiting for the perfect moment to drop me, for the situation that would benefit her the most. She thought she was in control. She had no idea I was already planning my way out. A mutual friend confirms everything. I wasn't going to confront her with just text messages. I needed external confirmation before I made my move. So I called Daniel. Daniel and I had been close for years, long before I met my wife. He was one of the few mutual friends who had never taken sides in our marriage, but I had a feeling he knew something. And I was right. When we met for drinks, I wasted no time. Daniel, I said, voice calm, do you know who she's been seeing? He hesitated, swirling his glass before setting it down with a quiet clink. Man, I wasn't sure if I should tell you, he admitted, rubbing the back of his neck. But yeah, I do. I exhaled slowly, forcing my expression to stay neutral. Tell me everything, he sighed. It's her coworker, Jason. They've been meeting up for months. I didn't want to believe it at first, but I saw them together a couple of times. Once at a bar, another time at a hotel. She told me it was work-related, but he shook his head. Come on, man. Nobody books a hotel room for work. Jason. Now I had a name to match the texts. And now, I had everything I needed. The shift begins. My silent withdrawal. After that night, something changed in me. Not in a way she could see, not at first. I still went through the motions, still kissed her goodbye in the mornings, still asked how her day was. But inside, I was already gone. I didn't beg for her attention. I just stopped trying, and slowly, I started withdrawing. No more surprise dates or affectionate touches. She noticed. She felt it. At first, she didn't comment, probably relieved that she no longer had to fake her enthusiasm around me. But then, she started to wonder. One evening, as we sat at the dinner table, I felt her watching me. You okay? She asked, feigning concern. I looked up, meeting her gaze with nothing but quiet indifference. Yeah, why? She hesitated. You've been different lately. I smiled, the kind of empty, meaningless smile you give a stranger on the street. Just busy with work. That was enough to satisfy her. For now, because as far as she knew, I was still the predictable, replaceable husband she could leave behind whenever she was ready. But what she didn't know was that I was already free. The legal preparation. While she was out with friends the next weekend, I met with my lawyer. I don't want this to get messy, I told him. I just want to be done with her. He nodded, scanning the documents I had provided, the texts, the bank statements, the subtle financial moves I had already made to ensure I wasn't trapped. If we play this right, the divorce process should be clean, he said. We'll make sure everything is in order before we serve the papers. I exhaled, the weight on my chest loosening just a bit. Good, because that was the goal. No exposure or chaos. Just a clean, silent exit that would leave her completely blindsided. The first hint that she was losing control. A week later, I caught her staring at me across the living room, not with affection, not even with guilt, but with curiosity, like she was trying to figure something out. I didn't react, didn't ask if something was wrong, just continued reading my book as if she wasn't even there. And that's when I knew she was starting to sense it. She didn't realize what was wrong yet. Didn't understand why the man she had so easily dismissed was suddenly slipping through her fingers. But soon, she would. Soon, she would feel it like a knife to the chest. Because I was about to do the one thing she never expected. I was about to leave her first. There's a moment right before a storm hits where the air shifts. The wind dies, the sky darkens, and everything feels eerily still. That's where we were now. She didn't know it, not fully, but she felt it. Something was wrong, something was off. And for the first time in months, she was the one worrying about me. The change in power. She didn't realize it yet, but her control over me, her assumed authority in this marriage was slipping. It was in the way I stopped seeking her out. I no longer asked how her day was. I no longer checked in when she went out for drinks with friends. I no longer offered to pick her up when she worked late. And I no longer reached for her at night. She noticed. She'd glance at me while we ate dinner, searching for something, anything. For weeks, she had believed she was running this game, that she would leave when she was ready, that she was the one making the decisions. But now, she wasn't sure anymore. One night, as we lay in bed, she shifted closer. It was subtle. She didn't touch me, not quite. Just let her arm brush against mine, testing the waters. I didn't move, didn't react. After a minute, she turned away. She felt it. The distance she had created was no longer hers to control. Her first attempt to reclaim power. It happened a few days later. I was in the living room, casually scrolling through my phone, when she sat down beside me. Not across from me, not at her usual spot, right beside me. "Hey," she said lightly, "want to grab dinner tomorrow night? Just us?" I looked at her then, really looked at her. She was testing me, seeing if I would react, seeing if I would jump at the chance to win her back. If I had still been the man from a month ago, the one she had written off as safe and replaceable, I probably would have smiled. I probably would have felt hope, but that man was dead. I shrugged, looking back at my phone. "Nah, I have plans." She blinked. "Oh, what plans?" She was trying to sound casual, but I caught the edge in her voice. "I'm meeting up with some friends," I said simply. That was it. No explanation, no invitation for her to dig deeper. Her lips pressed together, and I knew this was the first time she realized I wasn't waiting for her anymore. She gave a small laugh, shaking her head. "Wow, look at you. Who even are you these days?" I smiled then, but it wasn't for her. Just a small, knowing smirk as I stood up, leaving her sitting alone on the couch. Let her wonder. Let her feel what I had felt for months. My clean exit. I met with my lawyer again that week. Everything was set. The paperwork was filed, and soon she would be served. "I just want this to be over," I told him. He nodded. "It will be. We'll make sure of it. No mess, no drama. Just a quiet, clean break that would leave her stunned." And the best part? She had no idea it was coming. The night before the storm, the night before she was served, she tried again. She walked into the bedroom wearing the same dress she had worn on one of our first dates. She leaned against the doorframe, a soft smile on her lips. "Hey," she murmured. I looked at her, but I didn't see her. Not really. I didn't see the woman I had built a life with. I just saw a stranger who had already made her choice. She moved toward me, hands resting lightly on my shoulders. "I've been thinking," she said softly. "Maybe we should take a weekend trip. Just us." I almost laughed. This was it. Her final attempt. She could feel it now, the walls closing in, the grip she once had on me turning to dust in her hands. She thought a weekend trip would fix it, that 2 days away would erase the texts, the betrayal, the months of emotional distance. I met her gaze, my expression unreadable. And then I said the words that I knew would shake her to her core. "No." A flicker of something, panic, uncertainty, maybe even fear crossed her face. She hesitated, her fingers tightening on my shoulders. "What do you mean, no?" I gently removed her hands and stepped past her. "I mean no," I said simply. "No trip, no fixing things. No, just us." "No." I walked past her and into the bathroom. When I closed the door behind me, I heard her exhale shakily. She didn't understand yet, but she would. By tomorrow, she would understand everything. The moment it hit her. The next afternoon, I was sitting at my desk when I got the text. Her. What the hell is this? I leaned back in my chair, feeling the weight of the moment settle over me. The papers had been delivered. My phone buzzed again. Her. Are you serious? You're divorcing me. I didn't respond. She called. I ignored it. Another text. Her. We need to talk. Now. I smirked. For months, I had been the one waiting. For months, I had been the one left wondering, doubting, questioning if I was enough. Not anymore. Now, it was her turn. And I was already gone. The silence of goodbye. She called 3 more times that day. I didn't answer. The messages came next, shifting from shock to rage to desperation in a matter of hours. Her. I don't understand. Why are you doing this? Can we please talk? You can't just throw everything away like this. Answer me. I stared at my phone, watching her words fill the screen, each one more frantic than the last. But I felt nothing, because I wasn't throwing anything away. She was. The last, desperate attempt. That night, she came home early. I was sitting on the couch, sipping a whiskey, waiting for this moment. The door slammed, heels clicking sharply against the floor as she marched toward me. Tell me this is a joke. I didn't move. Just took another slow sip before setting the glass down with deliberate ease. It's not. She exhaled hard, like she had been holding her breath the entire drive home. You didn't even talk to me about this. I tilted my head, almost amused. I think we're past the point of talking. Her arms crossed over her chest. You're being impulsive. This is a marriage, not some high school breakup. I almost laughed. Impulsive? I echoed. I overheard you tell someone you settled for me, that you could replace me anytime you wanted. Her face drained of color. I let the silence stretch between us, watched as she scrambled for an excuse, an explanation, but there was nothing she could say. I saw the texts too. A slow, shaky breath left her lips. What? Texts? Don't do that, I said flatly. She licked her lips. It wasn't, don't lie. Her mouth snapped shut. She knew there was no way out of this. For the first time, I saw something real in her expression. Fear. Not fear of me, fear of losing me. She stepped forward, her voice lowering, softening. This doesn't have to happen. I leaned back, watching her closely. She was changing tactics now. This is just a mistake, she continued. I got caught up in something that wasn't real. But this, she gestured between us. This is real. I said nothing. She took it as encouragement, stepping closer. We can fix this. I met her gaze and asked the only question that mattered. Did you feel that way when you were with him? Tears welled in her eyes. It didn't mean anything. I nodded slowly. Then it shouldn't mean anything that I'm leaving. A single tear slipped down her cheek. I still love you. I didn't flinch. I wasn't hers to love anymore. The final goodbye. She tried everything after that. Anger. You're just doing this to punish me. You want me to suffer. Blame. If you had been more exciting, maybe I wouldn't have looked elsewhere. Guilt. We built a life together. How can you just walk away from everything we had? But I never wavered. I never yelled. Never argued. I just listened. And that's when she truly broke. The moment she realized nothing she said could change what was coming. She wasn't used to this version of me. The version who wasn't waiting for her to make up her mind. I had already made mine. I stood up, grabbed my keys, and walked to the door. She rushed after me. Where are you going? I turned back, hand on the doorknob, and then I said the last words I would ever say to her. You were right. She blinked, confused. What? I let a small smile touch my lips, not cruel, not angry, just final. You said I was replaceable. I shrugged. So go replace me. Her breath hitched. She opened her mouth, but I was already stepping outside, closing the door behind me. No more begging, just silence. Because the truth was, she was right about one thing. I was replaceable, but so was she. And unlike her, I wasn't afraid to move on. The aftermath. Her regret, my freedom. The texts didn't stop. She called, left voicemails, sent messages filled with regret. Her. I made a mistake. Please talk to me. I don't even care about Jason. It was a stupid phase. I was selfish. Please, don't throw us away. I never responded, because I was already gone. The divorce moved forward without drama. I didn't take revenge. I didn't air her dirty laundry. I just let her live with her choices. A month after I moved out, Daniel told me she had tried to get back with Jason. He had laughed in her face, because he never wanted a relationship. She had thrown away her marriage, her stability, her future for a man who had no intention of keeping her. And now, she was alone. My new beginning. I moved on. I traveled, met new people, reconnected with who I was before she made me feel small. And I was happy. One day, months later, I ran into her at a coffee shop. She looked different, tired, like someone who had spent too much time looking back instead of forward. She saw me, and I saw it the way her breath caught, the way her shoulders tensed, the way she ached for the conversation she would never get. Because I just walked past her. No words, no glance back, just silence. The same silence she had given me when she chose another man over me. And in that moment, she realized something. She had lost me forever. And I had never been freer,